Give me 1 second. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. All right, guys. Well, hi everybody. Um, my apologies for this being late and pushed up by a day. Um, okay, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. Is reason why I have this titled as my experience, my overall experience, uh, traveling by myself to another state, and my overall remarks and everything. Okay. Welcome to Lennon's Kitchen. In this channel, you will find recipes, kitchen related content, and more. You guys, welcome to another stream. Okay, today I am going to be telling you guys about my overall thoughts about my recent experience traveling by myself out of state. Okay, I decided to do something I never done before. Okay, and I decided to go to another state. I decided that I wanted to go and see Mr. Dirt Mason in his hometown and state of Arkansas. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and tell you, first of all, how I took everything. I enjoyed my first experience traveling by myself. Okay. There were some roadblocks, which I'll get to here in a little bit. But all in all, my experience traveling by myself as a visually impaired individual was great. Everything went smoothly, even though there was one hurdle that I did have to endure. But I am going to give you guys some suggestions and everything about things that you'll have to endure when that happens. Okay, so let me see who is in the live chat here. Let's see here. Okay, I think my all right. I want to open my phone here. Excuse me for a minute while I pull up my phone here. My overall experience. Hashtag traveling by myself. Go to channel Lennon's Kitchen. 2. Showing item. Video player. Pause video. Play video. But top dance button. At Amber Center. Hello. At Amber Center. We're running a little late here, but that's fine. At Amber Center. Is anybody there? Button. Number 3. Button. Let's see Alderman 1981. Hello. Button. Hello, Mr. Alderman. Okay, guys. So let me tell you guys exactly how everything went. Okay, let's start with the moments leading up to the big day. So I had decided that I wanted to go and spend New Year's week with my best friend, Mr. Dirt Mason.
Okay, that was my plan. That was something that I wanted to do. I wanted, like, it was something that was thought up, and I really wanted to do this. But in order to get this going, I had to wait for a check. I had to wait for a big paycheck. Okay, which luckily I didn't have to wait that much long because I had just recently celebrated 10 years at my job. Okay, and we have a thing that every 5 years you will get paid $250 per 5 years. So that means that your first 5 years is going to be 250, and then you'll get 250 added on to the 250 that you already have. So for me, it was $500. Okay, $500 or 500 and some change. Okay, so that paycheck ended up hitting the 19th, which was actually pretty much everybody's last working day of the year. Okay, I will say this, that right now, we have been at my job. We are experiencing some changes that we just have to get used to, and we had just finished getting over some extreme changes within the company, and many of us were hoping that we would get our service awards, despite the tough changes that we had to experience. And luckily, we did. On the 19th, I was very grateful and thankful that I received my anniversary package. Okay, my service award. Okay, for the amount of years worked at the job I'm at right now. That was good and very beneficial for me. Okay, along with, I had to make sure that I had enough to where I needed to take care of one bill, and enough to where I would be able to actually purchase the plane ticket to travel to Arkansas. Luckily, everything worked out in my favor. Okay, the bills that needed to come out ended up coming out, and I still had. I did the numbers, I did the crunching, and everything came out, and everything was set the way I wanted it to be set. Okay, so on the 19th, I booked my plane ticket. Okay, with no hesitations. Now, I will say this, in the process of doing this, there is an app, okay, that I do highly recommend to you guys, and it's an app called Skyscanner. Okay, a coworker introduced me to it. It basically gives you either affordable and cheap flights within your affordable and cheap flights, or decent price flights to where you can afford for a lot cheaper. And it's called Skyscanner. You can download it on either the App Store or Google Play. Okay, non-sponsored. Okay, I highly recommend it. And this is how it went. So I downloaded the app, I created an account, and you have to look at, it gives you a section. It gives you 3 sections. It gives you flights, hotels, and flights, hotels, and I think the other one is, I don't know, but there's 3 different sections. The one you want to choose is flights, okay? And then it's going to prompt you to another screen where it's going to have you type in your destinations. You're going to type in the trip, the departure city, and you're going to also type in your destination, okay? And then you're going to tap search, okay? It will oh, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. So before you do that, underneath the departure city, the departure state, you're going to also type in your departure date and your return date, okay? You're going to select that on the calendar, okay? My plans were to go to Arkansas on the day after Christmas, which was the 26th of December, and then return back on the 3rd of January of this year, which is 2026. Okay? Then you search. Well, I had downloaded this app a week prior. Okay? A week prior to me going. Okay? So it was actually on man, where did I see him? So this was actually on I believe it was Tuesday of the week of the 19th, I think. No, it was that month. It was like the weekend before, I think, is when I downloaded it. Okay. When you do this, you will get flights for cheap. Okay, you will get decently priced flights. Now, the only thing I'm going to tell you is you want to do round trip. Okay. You can do it one way at a decent price, and that's fine too. But you want to do round trip when you are selecting your when you're booking your flight. Okay, you always want to look at round trip first. That's your first section. Okay. I am going to disclose how much it costs because, well, the trip is done. Now, it depends on where you're going to and from, or to, excuse me. You want to pay attention to the price fluctuations because on some days it can be good. It can be at the same price you saw that day for 1 or 2 days, or it can be not. It can be okay throughout the course of the time from the day you select your dates, because it'll allow you to preset your dates without even booking. That's basically what it is you're pre-selecting, you're pre-booking. It's called a pre-booking. So basically you're pre-selecting your travel dates before you actually buy your ticket. And what that does is it actually calculates the best prices available. Then you always want to pay attention to the prices, the way they go up and down or they stay. I paid very, very close attention. Okay. The price for this flight and my maximum that I would have wanted reach was 500. Okay, 500 would have been my max. Okay, anything above 500, I wouldn't be able to do it. Okay. Well, luckily, that 500 that ended up not being the case. The price that I had initially pre-booked the trip for was for $280. We'll just round it off there. It was $279, but we'll just say $280 just to be on the safe side. But $279 was the price. I wanted to make sure that it would either stay, even if it was at like $300, that was fine. But I wanted to make sure that it was at $279, a little over to $300, a little under, and that's what happened. There were some days where it went up to $2.99 for like at least 2 days, and then it went back down. It went back down. At one point, it went up to $307, and then it went back down to the original price I had it set at. Now, I did not hesitate on the 19th, okay? I was waiting to get paid. I did not hesitate. Okay. I bought the ticket immediately, okay?
11:07.
Because I needed to make sure
Move up. Device unlocked.
that
2. At murder_Mason moderator. Venti cried this morning. Button. Enlist. 6
Laura Mason. Oh, yeah, I know he cried, but yeah, you know, poor Venti. I know. Anyways, so I ended up booking the ticket with no hesitations. I ended up buying the ticket for $279. Now, here's another word of advice to you when you are booking a flight. Okay? Get protection. Get trip protection. Okay? Get trip protection. It will save your butt. Okay? It will be your new best friend when you get trip insurance. Okay? That is in case if you have to, if you're not able to make that trip, or you end up getting sick, or you end up getting stranded, okay, or the flight gets canceled unexpectedly. You want to make sure you get trip protection, because if not, it is going to be hell, okay? Because you'll never know what will happen. And I endured something that most people have to endure, okay? We'll talk about that in a minute. That trip protection ended up being $30. So I selected $30 for trip protection. I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, nice. So anyways, the trip ended up being $30. The whole trip together was in the amount of, let me pull up my banking statement here. I'm going to shut off the microphone here because this thing will say every detail, and I don't want any of my information being linked. So give me a second, guys, while I pull up the information of how much I had to pay for the whole trip that day, because it's in my statement. Hold on. All right. Okay, guys, let me make some corrections really quick. Okay. I actually ended up buying the ticket on the 22nd, okay, which was the Monday after we were off, right? Okay. So, I was on the 22nd. The 19th, I just wanted to make sure that the payment that my check had gone through on the 19th. I was waiting on a couple of bills to kick in, okay, and those bills did go through, and I wanted to make sure that everything was good to go. So on the 22nd, I did buy that ticket. That trip ended up costing $278 for the trip. Okay, the ticket ended up costing me $270. It ended up costing me $278 in total. Okay, just for the ticket, just for the trip itself. Okay, on the insurance part, it ended up costing me $30. So that in total ended up being $30. Okay, so altogether, that with the insurance, that ended up costing me $308. All right, now let's fast forward to the let's fast forward to the 26th. Okay. I was a mess on the 25th.
And toilet paper 4,948 moderator. Ooh, hello, Lennon. But
Hello, toilet paper man. So on the 25th, I was a mess. Okay. I was very bad at I had procrastinated. So nothing really got done until very late on the 25th. Okay. So what ended up happening was on the 25th, I realized that I had to do my laundry. Okay. I had to do my laundry. I had to pack clothes that were necessary. You always wanna oh, sorry, before all this, guys, I'm so sorry. Before all this, okay, when you book your trip, okay, it's gonna prompt you to the site of the airline that you will be taking. Okay. In my case, it was American Airlines, so I ended up getting prompted to the American Airlines website. Okay, because all you're doing on that Skyscanner is you're booking your ticket. Okay, the real buying process is when you go to American Airlines. You have to go on their website and you have to finalize everything. The final purchase and the cost is on that website. It's on the American Airlines website. Okay. That is where you buy your trip insurance. That is where you want to make sure you register the bag that you're going to take. Okay. In my case, it was a carry-on, which actually I was waiting for that to come in as well, but I already knew that I was going to take a carry-on. Okay. So then it's going to prompt you to fill out your information, your name, first, last name, address, phone number, all that good stuff. Okay. Then you're going to select the bag that you're going to take. Then you're going to select the type of reason for the trip. Okay. Then it's going to take you to another section. You're obviously going to put in the number of passengers that are going, blah, 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 this, that, and the other as well in the very beginning. So when you finish filling out your information and creating your account, because you have to create an account with the airline that you're going to be taking. Okay, I had to create an account with American Airlines online, and I used the app. I actually used I think it was the I think the app or online. No, I used the online thing because or something like that. I don't remember. But anyways, um, online. That's what I did. I finished online. Okay, so when you do purchase your tickets online, guys, if you have a disability, there is a section that you must specify the assistance. It has one for service animal. It has one for that you're going to be. It has basically assistance for any type of disability. It has one for if you're taking a service animal with you, if you are hearing impaired, if you are visually impaired or blind, if you need, if you need some extra assistance due to your mental health. Yes, there is a section that says assistance for those that need extra assistance due to their mental health. Okay, mental capability. Okay, you want to make sure that you select the type of assistance that you want. I was told by a friend of mine that you want to make sure you select wheelchair. I didn't do that in this case, but I did select that I was blind and low vision. So I did that. Okay. I fast forwarded to the trip insurance. Okay, that's where you get your trip insurance, which is the $30. Okay, you select yes, I want trip insurance. Okay, and it's gonna tell you, the type of reason for this trip. And it's gonna tell you, it's gonna prompt you to the next page. When you buy your trip, okay, you have the option to either buy your own seat. It's gonna cost you extra. Or you can leave it alone and you can leave the seat alone and they will choose the seat for you. Okay.
The toilet paper 4,948 moderator. 99. Why procrastinating button? The toilet paper 4,948 moderator. I is an airport button. Music volume set to 53%.
I know, right?
11:22 p.m.
Okay. And so then it's gonna prompt you to choose your seat. Now, because I chose a round trip, guys, it had me select my seats. Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to remember. The app. Yeah, okay. I did everything through the app. That's right. Because I had the app. But anyways, online I would just make sure I had the account. But on the app, I actually had the app. So I was able to do everything. So yeah, so I did everything that I had mentioned on the app. But it's going to take you to a section to where you can actually choose your seat for an extra charge. Okay? It can range anywhere from 15 to way more expensive. Okay, I chose not to. So I had a flight from here to Dallas Fort Worth, and then from Dallas Fort Worth, because that's a connecting flight to Fayetteville. Okay, so that's the round trip. You have a connecting flight. A one way is when you go direct. Direct is one way, and then round trip is you're gonna have a connecting flight. Okay. So I did not choose a seat. I had them choose a seat for me. Um, and then, of course, had to finalize everything. Had to had to go through all the rules about carry-ons and how much it was going to cost and everything. Um, but I ended up paying $278. That was Monday, the 22nd. Okay. Now, along with the trip insurance was also, so it was $308. $308. Okay, that's what I paid on Monday, the 22nd. Okay, everything was programmed, everything was registered, my ticket was booked. Okay, so the dates were set, the ticket was purchased, all my information was entered in there. I had to finish filling out some emergency info, extra information, emergency contact info, and I had to make sure that no, I was a U.S. citizen, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Okay. Then comes Thursday night. I was a mess. Remember I said I procrastinated till night, till late night Thursday? Yeah, I did laundry Thursday. Okay. I did laundry on Thursday, right? So I ended up doing laundry really late. It was like around 8 o'clock. Okay. Luckily it was one load of laundry. Okay, but of course the washers and dryers here take long, and it was Christmas, so the laundromat was closed. Okay. Now, so I had to walk over here at the apartment. So it was a walk from here to the laundry facility here. Okay. I ended up finishing late. I ended up finishing really late. It was like around 11, 11:30, 11:15, 11:30 when I finished drying everything that needed to be dried. I start packing. Okay, I got my carry-on bag in on Tuesday, because I had ordered that on Walmart. Okay. The carry-on was on Tuesday. Okay, so that was good to go. Then Thursday, like I said, I did the laundry thing and I unwrapped my carry-on. I made sure it was good to go. I start packing. You always want to check the weather. Days before, you always want to check the weather constantly, okay? Because you never know what Mother Nature's gonna throw at you. So I ended up checking the weather. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, so I ended up checking the weather on Thursday actually to make sure everything was good to go, and so that way I knew what to take. I packed the necessary things, and I made sure I was well prepared because it was supposed to get cold in Arkansas last week. And thankfully, thank God I did, because it got cold. So my bag was pretty heavy, but it was packed good. I ended up finishing packing. My flight from here to Dallas Fort Worth was scheduled until 6 a.m. And so I had to be at the airport by 4 o'clock. So because I had done everything late the night before, I could not sleep. I ran on little to no sleep. Now, when you are done, when you purchase your tickets, it will notify you. You always want to make sure you have your notifications on. You always want to make sure you have your and also, if you don't have Google Wallet, I highly recommend you get Google Wallet, because that will be your new best friend, because you can actually move your boarding passes from the airline app to Google Wallet, so that you don't have to open up and go through all these hoops through your boarding passes. But you always want to make sure you have notifications set. You always want to program your flights on the calendar. Okay. So at 2 o'clock on Friday morning, okay, because I had packed everything that needed to be packed. I had finished packing everything that needed to be packed. Okay. At 2 a.m. Friday morning. They sent me the link to check in. Now, after you book your trip and you buy your ticket and the insurance, when you check in, that is when you specify what you will be taking. Okay. I selected carry-on. I had to make sure and you have to look at the fees of how much your carry-on bag is going to cost or whatever you're going to be taking. Okay, because prices vary from state to region. Okay. Because I was paying online, this is known as a pre-check. Okay. Because I was paying online, it would have been $35 if I were to do it at the airport or something like that. It would have been more expensive. But because I paid online, they were going to take $5 off. So it ended up costing me $30 here and $30 there. Okay. So altogether, it ended up costing me $70. I guess that was because of tax. It ended up costing me $70. You always want to when you register your bag or suitcase, you want to make sure that you only pay once. You want to make sure that you only pay once. Okay? That is a one-time payment. Now, I will say that when I was the plan that I had chosen at the very beginning was the economy plan. Okay, that is why I was able to get tickets for cheap. And there's actually a section on the Skyscanner app where you can look up cheap flights, and usually the same price that you saw initially will actually appear on the cheap section. Okay, that's what I didn't specify. Okay, so anyways, I was on the economy plan. Now with the economy plan, because there's economy, then there's first class, and I forgot the other one. But there's business, economy, and first class, I think. Yeah. Okay. The business, economy, and first class. I chose our economy, business, first class. So I chose economy. So you have for some restrictions. You can't make any changes. Can't make any changes. Okay. You can't make any changes once nothing's all said and done, unless if they have you make changes. Okay. You have some restrictions. You will only allowed one carry-on, one personal item, and one carry-on. Any additional bag is going to be an additional charge. That's plain and simple. So luckily I only had to pay what I had to pay. I checked in. I had to fill out some extra info. Oh, nice. So I had to finish filling out some information, emergency contact and everything, so that everything would be good to go. So I purchased my electronic boarding pass for my pre-checking upon arrival to the airport. So I ended up buying my electronic boarding pass. It's highly recommended that you do so to make things smoother at the airport. Okay. So everything. So the pre-check bag, because that's the check-in. The pre-check bag was $30. That's what it was. So I ended up paying an additional $30 on top of what I had already paid with the trip insurance. Okay, so in all, I did end up paying $378 in total for the whole trip. That includes taxes, that includes the baggage fee, that includes the overall total. That is $378 what I ended up paying for a week. Okay, everything was covered. Now, plans had to change on me because some stuff happened between me and my best friend here. Initially, I was going to go sleep in his place, but because I had done everything late, we got into it, and, well, I decided, you know what, screw it, I'll just go plan B and I'll take Lyft. Luckily, with my credit card, Lyft took some discount. Okay, my credit card, Lyft used my credit card for discount. Okay, I scheduled the trip to be picked up at 3:15 in the morning. Remember, I had finished finalizing everything at 2 o'clock. Okay, so I was literally running on little to no sleep. Okay, I did take a nap, but I ended up waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, no, 2:45 is when I ended up getting back up because I needed to be at the airport by 3:45. So I ended up waking up an hour early. All right, so I wake up and I make sure everything's set. I did actually end up cleaning the day before a little bit because I was gonna have my brother come and stay here. Well, and it will actually come and look at this place while I was gone. My brother and my best friend here, they were gonna take turns and come and check this place out while I was gone. So I had to, of course, make it presentable for them, so that way, wouldn't be bad. So I did. That's what also pushed me back was I did some deep cleaning a little bit. But anyways, here is, I know, I'm sorry about the jabbering, but I'm getting to the good stuff. So here's what happened. I pre-scheduled my Lyft pickup for 3:15. I got up. I finalized. I double checked, made sure I had everything packed, what I wanted to pack. Okay. Had to make sure everything was in order. Okay. Now, when you when you pack, Google is your best friend. You have restrictions on what you're allowed to take with you. Okay, I will say that I will give you some pointers. Bars of soap have to be at least 3 ounces or under. Your stuff that has to be taken has to be at least 3 ounces or under. Okay. Deodorant has to be 3 ounces or under. Toothpaste has to be at least 3 ounces or under. All your stuff has to be at least 1 to 3 ounces. If you're gonna take shampoos and soaps, okay, if you're gonna take shampoo and conditioner and all that, you want to put it in a reusable clear bottle. Okay, I didn't do that because I didn't think. Mouthwash, you can take the travel size mouthwash, and you'll be fine there. Okay. So travel size mouthwash, you just want to make sure it's under the requirements. That's why you always want to do your research when you're on Google. Chapstick is allowed. Chapstick is allowed. Powdered deodorant is allowed because it will not melt or anything. Okay. Soap bars are allowed as long as they are within the recommended ounce requirements. Okay. So you can pretty much take most of your toiletries as long as they are travel size. Okay. Now, let's fast forward. Toothbrush, make sure it's a manual toothbrush. You can't take your electric one. You can't really take your electric toothbrush unless because some batteries are not allowed. Okay, check your listing of items that you're allowed to take. You can't take much. Okay, you can only take what is legal to take with you. Okay, no e-cigarettes, no weapons, no batteries, nothing of that nature. No, chemicals, nothing. Okay, you just have to take what you're allowed to take. Make sure you check Google for specifications, and you want to make sure you check your airline's website or app. Okay.
The toilet paperman 4948 moderator. I go on plane to go to California. At House of Shaded moderator. Sub Lennon. But
Oh, look who's here at the party. Somebody's late. But yeah, so you want to make sure you do your research on Google and on everything else. Okay? Of what you can take. Now, I get up at 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning is when I get up. I said 2:45. Yeah, it was like 2. It was somewhere around there. But I get up, I brush my teeth, I get dressed, and I make sure everything is packed the way I want it packed. I had my bag on the couch already. My carry-on and everything was on the couch. The bag that I usually take with me is on the couch. That is so when I get to the airport, I got picked up on Lyft at 3:15. Driver takes me there. She was cool, very helpful. Drops me off. Assists me to the door. Okay. I get into the door. If you know your terminal, okay, go to your terminal. Okay. Do not go to the main entrance. You go to your terminal. Okay. That is a big saver. Go to your terminal specified. Okay. Because it will tell you which airline is where. Okay. Again, my airline was American, so I ended up going to Terminal B here in San Antonio. Once I get there, I stood there, and there was this gentleman that helped me that said, "Excuse me, sir, will you be needing assistance today?" And I said, "Yes." Remember when I told you guys to add your boarding passes to Google? He had me pull my phone out and show him my boarding pass. I did. He had his iPad, and he scanned the QR code, and all my information popped up. And I want to thank him for doing such a great job that day. He calmed me down. I felt better. I felt calm. I was excited. I was nervous. I felt calm. I was excited. I was nervous. I felt calm. But he was very thorough about everything that was going to happen throughout the whole process of getting checked in. Luckily, because my bag was already registered, I was able to go through TSA faster. Okay. He explained to me what happens at TSA. So what happens when you're going to TSA here is you have to show them your ID. Okay. You have to show them your ID. Okay, and it has to be a real ID or a passport. Okay, your real ID has to have a star, or if you're in California, a bear. Okay. I'm not sure of other states. Check your state's requirements for IDs, but it has to be a star. That's the real ID now. Okay. Otherwise, you'll have to show your passport, or else you won't be able to fly. Then you're taken to an area where you have to unhook anything that is on you: jackets, keys, fanny packs. Those have to go into compartments. One bin is for personal items. Then your carry-on is going to be in another bin that also is going to get inspected. Okay, so luckily I went through all that and everything went well. Okay,
And toilet paper in 4,009.
everything went well. Everything went well. Everything passed through, and the gentleman that was helping was very, very thorough and very, very helpful. And so I really appreciated that. So everything passed, was good to go. I stood there waiting for my bags to be finished being checked, and luckily everything got checked. So we were good to go. I stopped to buy coffee, which wasn't bad. I stopped to buy coffee, which wasn't bad. It wasn't expensive. Okay. Now, keep in mind that I had gotten to the airport at 3:45, so the whole process actually was at least 30 minutes, 15 to 30, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Okay. I ended up getting finished like around 4:15. Okay, through TSA and the coffee. I ended up getting finished like around 4:15. My flight was scheduled to take off at was scheduled to board at 5:45. Okay. So what ended up happening was the gentleman takes me to my gate, puts me in the seat, and I wait there. From 4:25 to 5. Trying to think, it was like 10 to 15. I think we were supposed to load at like 5:30. It was like, I don't remember, but it was around like 5 something. But I ended up he said that he was going to be back in like 15 minutes before boarding, 5-10 minutes before boarding, so that he could go ahead and help me assist me to the aircraft. So we ended up boarding at 5:40. Okay. Yeah, we ended up boarding like around 5 something. Okay, so I sit in my seat, and remember I said that I did not select a seat. Well, when you get your boarding pass, now the thing is, when you check in, it will tell you where you're going to be seated if you hadn't already pre-selected your seat. It's going to tell you where you're going to be seated. It's going to tell you the time that the plane's going to board. It's going to tell you the time that the plane is going to arrive, and it's going to tell you the time that the plane is going to land at the destination you're going to, first or second. Okay. Keep in mind that if you have an air app with your airline, you want to make sure that you have that open, because it changes. The status will change constantly. You want to make sure that you are on top of your flight status. Okay. The day before, they will notify you a day before, 1 to 2 days before. They will remind you, hey, you have a trip coming up. Check for any status changes. And luckily, I opened up American Airlines app and everything was there. Your boarding pass is where it tells you where you're actually going to sit and everything that you need to know. So we ended up getting on the plane. Had to wait for everybody to gone. We end up taking off 5:53. Okay, 5:53 is when everything was being done, finalized, and then we end up going to DFW. We were supposed to get to DFW at 7:38, but we ended up landing 30 minutes ahead of schedule, so we ended up getting to DFW at 6:52. Okay. That was my connecting flight. Now, remember I had said that this was a round trip, this was a connecting flight. Dallas Fort Worth International Airport is huge. It is huge. It is so huge that you have to take a train, a shuttle, from one terminal to the other. And in some cases, you have to take, because it's huge, you have to take an elevator. Okay. It's a big airport. Remember, I had said that when you register yourself, you want to make sure that you specify the services that you're going to need if you need them. Well, when we landed at Fort Worth, I was provided a wheelchair. That is the best solution. If you are disabled, that is the best solution, because what that will do is somebody from the airport will assist you in the wheelchair directly to your terminal. Okay, you don't have to walk. They will wheel you to your terminal no matter how far it is. Okay, it will get you there faster. Okay, versus you having to look and search. So I was offered a wheelchair. I sat in the wheelchair, and the lady did a great job of taking me to my gate and my terminal. It was quite a ride. But I ended up making it to my terminal. My next flight wasn't until let's see, landed early. Okay, my next flight to board wasn't supposed to board until we were supposed to depart at my next flight was not supposed to board until 8:03. Okay. Or no, 7:53. That's right. 7:53 was the next one. So we weren't going to take off until around 8:15. Okay, that's when we were going to depart from DFW to Fayetteville. Okay, we were supposed to land in Fayetteville at 9:38, but the captain had said, and the airport the airport attendants. What do you call it? What do you call this freaking people? I think I forgot. But anyways, the airplane attendants. Anyways, the people that gave you stuff on the airplane. Anyways, when they were saying that it was going to be a 47-minute trip from Dallas Fort Worth to Fayetteville. Okay. So we did. We ended up taking off. Now, your carry-ons are gonna go above your head in the compartment. You're only allowed, and they will specify this to you at your gate, that you're only allowed one personal item, and it must fit underneath the seats. Okay? So it must fit under the seats. Luckily, I had my cane and I had my bag that I always use. It fit under my seat, under the seat in front of you. Okay, it has to fit the seat in front of you. Okay, I'm sorry, the seat in front of you. Okay, your personal item has to fit on the seat in front of you. Now, I was able to sit next to a window, which was nice. So the seats that were selected for me were good. Okay, now we land at Fayetteville a little bit ahead of schedule. Okay, we ended up landing at Fayetteville a little bit ahead of schedule. This is like 9:26. We're supposed to get there at 9:30, 9:38, but we ended up landing there 9:26. Okay, so I waited for everybody to get off, and then the person that was in the that was in the airplane, the attendant, came up to me and had escorted me out. Okay, there I was greeted by a lady who then took me to the entrance. Now, Mason and his dad were already at the airport in Fayetteville waiting for me because I had told them how long it was going to be. And so, luckily, I was able to meet up with Mason, and then I got to meet his dad. And then I started my vacation. Started my vacation there. Okay. So, this was Friday, and I forgot to mention that prior to this, prior to the 26th, Mason had fallen ill on the 20th. Okay, Mason had gotten sick on the 20th. He ended up catching the flu and strep at the same time. He was with a group of friends, and unfortunately, our initial plan was to go see them. I wanted to meet them in person, but unfortunately, because he had to go to the emergency room on the 20th, because it was so bad, his friends ended up catching what he had. And I will say this, even if you don't cover your mouth, whatever any air or any vomit or whatever that you come in contact with can actually get you sick when you're already infected because the virus is already in there. So there was no there would have not been any way out of that situation, Mason. So your friends ended up getting sick not because of what you didn't do. It was because they had already had in contact with you, had been in contact with you. So with your virus already. So they got sick because they had already had direct contact with you. Okay, so just to make that clear. Not because you didn't do what you're supposed to, what should have been done, but that's because they were already in direct contact. Okay. So throughout that whole time, I went ahead and purchased my ticket and did all this, that, and the other. Fast forward to the 26th. Mason had started feeling a lot better on the 26th. He actually ended up going to work, so I ended up staying at his place. I got to meet his dad at the airport along with him, and then I got to meet his grandma at his house. Okay. So I ended up staying with his grandma. Okay. So I ended up staying there, relaxing, pretty much all day because Mason works in the afternoons, so he doesn't get out till late. So I ended up staying there at home on Friday. But his dad took me out to eat that Friday night, which was nice. Okay, that's what started it all. It was nice. Took me to a nice place. Very good food, very well portioned. It was delicious. Very, very good. Then, I waited for Mason and talked to his dad a little bit while we're eating and everything. His dad's a cool person, and his grandma's a nice person too. So I ended up waiting for Mason, and we just hung out there. And the real fun began the Saturday, the next day, because Mason's off on the weekends. So we end up getting dressed. He ends up showing me around Arkansas, around Bentonville. We went downtown. We went to the Walmart Museum. He showed me there. We went inside. It was free admission. And he showed me all around downtown, downtown Bentonville. Okay. We went to go eat. Okay. He told me where many of the places that he usually goes to are. And remember, in Arkansas is Walmart country. Okay, where he lives is basically where down a little bit further, a little bit further away, like towards close to Bentonville. Yeah, Bentonville. Walmart's headquarters is there. The original Walmart's there. Okay. The headquarters where we call the corporate office, Walmart home. That's where all our calls get sent to, because they have to deal with. That's where we have to put up with the people there. Okay. So the first Walmart store is there too. Fun fact: Mason used to work there. So then Sunday comes around. So we explore some more. We do some exploring. It tells me everything about what there is to do in Arkansas. We ended up eating at this place called Smitty's. It was a burger place. Okay, it was really good, and it was a good burger. I enjoyed it. Then we ended up going to we ended up going to GameStop because we wanted to go to GameStop, which never fails with him, but it's all right. We're going to GameStop, and then we also we just looked around. We explored some more places, and we went home. We went home, and we just relaxed there. Well, he played some games. And then I forgot what else we did. But we did plenty of stuff. He also took me to Game Exchange. And then Saturday night we had Taco Bell, I think is when I had ordered Saturday night. Or Sunday, I don't remember. One of those days I had ordered Taco Bell. Yeah, Taco Bell Saturday night because his dad had already left. Sunday, we ended up meeting one of his other friends because they needed to do something because he wanted him to help him with something on his gaming PC, and that was fun. Got to know his friend. Really cool dude. You know, went to Best Buy because Mason needed another SSD card because Mason had to trade in and had to return an SD card that would not work on his hard drive, so he had to make a return, and then we got another one, and it worked. Okay, we went back to his place. His friend installed that new SSD card into his hard drive and hooks it up, and everything gets programmed. Okay. And so, before we did any of that, we did go to the mall. That's right. We did go to the mall on that Sunday. We went to the mall, the Fayetteville Mall. Okay. And we hung out there, and I had ordered some food, but I didn't eat it. I ended up not eating it, so I ended up eating it another day. So then was Sunday. So we just took his friend. We went to Whataburger that evening, and it was still the same. It was still the same, tasted the same, you know. So didn't disappoint me. We took his friend back home. We went back to Mason's place, and of course, we played some more games, did some more gaming, went to bed. Let me see. Monday. We didn't do much Monday because we woke up pretty late. Okay. We woke up pretty late. You had to get ready to go to work, and so I just stayed home. I just stayed in his room. I hung out in his room, watched TV, and he did some gaming, and of course got ready for work. So we went to work. So I waited for him to get home, and then that's when I had my spaghetti. On Tuesday, I Tuesday or Wednesday? Sometime this past last week, he had to go to therapy, so he took me with him to a therapy session, and then we had food. We had Wendy's, and he took me back home. Did some more gaming. Went back to he went back to work on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we ended up waking up, did some gaming. We just did a lot of stuff during that week, but we didn't have much time because, like I said, he had to work most of the day, so we were only limited to like at least a few hours. So we At some point, we did take his car to get washed. So that was that. And um, then so on Wednesday, his dad came back home. He came home late. So I was pretty much in the living room relaxing. We went to eat at this place called Lucy's. It was a good place. I had a meatloaf and typical meatloaf dinner. Okay, that was New Year's Eve, so of course, all New Year's Eve preparations were underway. Like I said, Mason had to work that day, so he didn't. But he ended up getting out just in time for us to say Happy New Year. He ended up, went back inside, ended up playing the games, and then we hung out on Thursday. Thursday, he took me. On Thursday, he took me into more of downtown a little bit. Showed me many of the places I usually like to go to. We did stop by a couple of places. We checked them out. We also ate at Buffalo Wild Wings later that night. But we went back to his place. We played video games, or he did. He played video games again. And then I can't remember. We went. Yeah, because we went. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, me and him hung out Thursday. That's right. Yeah, went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and that was all right. We went back home. We laid down, or we relaxed again. He did some more gaming, and then on Friday, he had an appointment, so he went to his appointment. I needed to eat something, so I had told him to get me some food. So he got me some food. I was hungry. He had a doctor's appointment, so he went to his doctor's appointment. He came back home. He did more gaming, and then he got ready and went to work. Yeah, I hung out at home pretty much at his place pretty much most of the day, but we did a lot of pretty good amount of stuff that whole week. Saturday came, which was the 20 or which was the 3rd. We went oh, you know what? On Friday we went to Taco Casa. That's right. We went to Taco Casa. After his doctor's appointment, we went to Taco Casa, and that town, that town of Arkansas, where he's, or that town where he's in Bentonville, and that pretty much most of the area where he lives, Northwest Arkansas. That reminded me of home. That reminded me of my hometown. Okay, so it was nice. Taco Casa is a staple in my hometown of Kerrville, and it was great to see it there in Arkansas. So it made me feel right at home. Then we went to Vintage Stock because we wanted to see some more games. for his gaming systems. That's right, he did that. Then he took me back to his place because he had to get ready for work. We also took his car didn't get one. No. But yeah, we did some other things that he needed to do. So we went back home. He went to work, and then I pretty much hung out at his place. On Saturday, we went to the mall again. We hung out there. And then we went to another store. We hung out there until like around 12. We went back home and we just hung out there while he played his games because I had to be back in the airport at 3. I had to be at the airport by 4:28. So I had to be at by 4:28 because my flight wasn't going to take off till 6:28. So this is what happened. Okay, this is what ended up happening on the 3rd. The 3rd was my departure date, my return date from there to here. But here's what happened. On the 3rd, okay, I ended up dealing with an obstacle. Okay. My flight was on January 3rd at 6:28. Remember I told you always want to make sure you have your phone in handy or you check the flight board because the status can change at any given moment. And that's what happened. My flight had gotten delayed 3 times. Okay. The first time, it wasn't going to take off until 7 o'clock. Okay. It wasn't going to depart until 7 o'clock. This was when I checked it at 5 o'clock, or not at 5 o'clock. Okay. Then at 5:15, I checked the app again and the status, and it said the delay was pushed up to 7:12. Then 5:35 comes around. I check the app again, and the flight had now been pushed up to 7:37. Okay, I had a decision to make, and that was the only problem that I had ran into. You're always going to run into problems with with your flight, either to or from. Okay, this was the flight to go back to DFW. Okay. Come back home. The problem was that flight was going to land at 9 o'clock in the evening at Dallas. My boarding time from Dallas to here was at 8:40. I had to talk to one of the there you go, flight attendants. That's the word that I was looking for. I had to talk to one of the gate staff there. She said that the connecting flight was going to push me up to the last flight for the night in Dallas to come to San Antonio. And I was actually going to get here really late. And I did not want to do that. So what ended up happening was they ended up rebooking me for a return flight for Sunday night, which was yesterday. Or Sunday morning, excuse me, which was yesterday. Okay. So I ended up having to call Mason and tell him, hey, things changed. My flight actually ended up getting delayed, so I had to rebook. So I'm gonna need you to come pick me up and take me, and I'm gonna have to stay over there another night, and then I'm gonna have to come back over here, which was the airport, and in Fayetteville. I would have to be there really early. I had to be there at 3, at least like around 3. Yeah, I had to be there at 4 because my flight from Fayetteville to Dallas was at 6:31, so I had to be there at like 4:20, 4:31. So we ended up leaving the airport his house like around 4:15, 4:10, 4:15. And then we ended up getting to the airport like around 4:25. A little bit past that. The only issue was that there were very short staff. There was a bunch of people there. I ended up waiting a little bit longer, but I did get there on time. You always want to get there 90 minutes to 2 hours ahead of schedule because you never know what's going to happen. And was I prepared? Yes. So, I must say that the day before, Mason picked me up again on the 3rd. They covered my flight for yesterday. They covered my flight from Sunday. Okay. And they also gave me a free meal voucher, so that was nice. So my meal was covered that evening on the 3rd before Mason picked me up. That was nice. So we so I ended up showing up at the airport that morning on Sunday. And I ended up waiting there for a good while because there was a line. There wasn't a lot of staff. There was a group of people that unfortunately had missed their flight. They had to be rebooked to another flight, this, that, and the other. Well, I finally had the opportunity, like around 4:53, to talk to one of the ladies there at check-in. I needed assistance to go through TSA again because I had to do it again, and then TSA there is different. They give you the ID. You have to give them your ID. You have to take a picture. Then you have to unload your bags and your personal items and your jacket. They have to go into those same bins again. They also do hand swabs and shoe swabs. Okay, the test to see if you have any suspicious residue on you. Luckily, everything passed. I ended up going to my gate. I ended up waiting there until 6:01. Okay, and until 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, my plane had just landed there, so everybody was getting boarded. I ended up getting assisted to the airplane. Okay, and then they walked me to my seat. Okay, remember that all the seats were pre-assigned, so that boarding pass came in handy. Okay. I sit there and I wait, and then we take off at 6:31. We ended up taking off. Okay. We get to Fort Worth at approximately 7:53. Okay. My other flight wasn't gonna board until like around 9:05. Okay. And now when we got to DFW, I was greeted again with a wheelchair. And this time it took a lot longer because we had to go through to a shuttle to get to my terminal because it was a different terminal. So we ended up taking a shuttle, and I ended up passing at least 3 different terminals until we got to my gate. It was quite a ride. I had to go through one side to the other. I went through multiple elevators till we finally got to my shuttle, or to my gate. Yeah, that airport is huge in Dallas. I ended up sitting there. Ended up waiting for a little bit. The flight. Then I ended up boarding. Now, when we board, the plane was a lot smaller. So, when we boarded that second flight, which was like around 9:05, they well, they took somebody. They took them a while to find a supervisor for us, because it was me and another person that was in a wheelchair that needed to be assisted into the aircraft. So, well, luckily we were able to. We were taken to the airplane and we were seated. At this time, the plane was already full. My my bag unfortunately did not fit on in the compartment because it was already full, but luckily it fit underneath the chair. I had a lady sit next to me, and then we took off at like 9:38. Yeah, nine. What time was it? It was like around 9 something when we left. And then I came back to San Antonio at 10:37. Okay. 9:23 is when we left. That's right. And then we got here at 10:37. And that, guys, was my overall experience of everything that I went through from start to finish. Okay. Now, I want to say a personal thank you to Mason's dad. It was a pleasure meeting you, as well as your mom, which is Mason's grandma. And I want to say a personal thank you to I will pull up something. I want to say a personal thank you to you, Mason. I want to thank you for everything. I want to thank you, your dad and your grandma, but I want to especially thank you for always being there for me, and for always being a good friend. I know things were different this time because, again, your friends got sick and we weren't able to see them. I was bummed. I was sad. I was bummed. But you know what? I had a lot of fun spending that whole week with you and getting to know you more on a personal level makes me have more respect for you. And I really appreciated everything that we got to do together. Even though days were short, I had a lot of fun getting to spend time with you. You are a great friend, a dear friend to me, a dear friend to all of us. You're a great person. I'm very grateful to call you my best friend because you're somebody that will always mean a lot to me. I know things have been hard for you, and I know you're still going through some stuff, but I know you'll get through all this, and I'm always here, and I want to thank you for having my back always, especially that Saturday night. Thank you so much. You guys have no idea how hard I took, how hard it was for me to say goodbye on this past weekend. It was hard. I cried. I cried because you know you guys have no idea how much Mason means to me. He's like a little brother to me. But he is a very mature and well mannered person. Yes, he is a kid at heart. Okay. Yes, he still has some areas to work on and growing up, but you know, he does a very good job when it comes to dealing with things that need to be done. Okay. I took it hard. I took everything. I took leaving Arkansas very hard on Saturday because I thought I was going to leave. I cried at the gate. And then on Sunday, I cried before we took off in the morning. Because that's how much I really care about you, Mason. And, you know, we all love you. I love you, dude. And can't wait to see you again. And I want to thank your dad and grandma for treating me with such good hospitality and welcoming me into y'all's home, especially you, taking great care of me, making sure I was well taken care of. I really appreciate it. Guys, this experience flying on my own to another state was a good one. The real reason why I went over there is because I wanted to see what it was like in Arkansas. And I like it. It's a simple town. It's a small, simple town. Okay. Mason lives in a very quiet neighborhood. Everything is straightforward. Okay. You can get from point A to point B in a good amount of time. Okay. It does get cold. And yes, there's severe weather over there, even tornadoes. So you do have to deal with those things. But I went over there because I wanted to see what it was like. Now, I will say this. There might be a possibility. Okay, but I'm only gonna but I'm not saying, I'm not for sure yet. Okay, because one of the things is that I've been wanting to do for the longest time is I want to move. And now I'm not saying it's a definite guarantee, but being over there in Arkansas made me feel right at home, like if I was back at home, both here and both in Kerrville. And I'm not saying it's a definite guarantee yet. Okay, so no, I am not leaving my job yet. Okay, no, I don't plan on leaving my job anytime soon. But I think it's time for me to start something new. Okay, I have been thinking about a lot of things, and going to Arkansas made me do a lot of thinking, and you know, getting to know Mason on a personal level really made me do a lot of thinking. And you know, Mason needs me with him. Okay, and he needs somebody that's going to help him, you know, help him, guide him, in the right direction. Not saying that none of his friends would do it, but he has to travel a little bit to go see his friends. Okay, which they do take really good care of him too. You know, they're great people. It's just in the situation he's in right now, it's just I can't say too much, but it's the situation he's dealing with right now. You gotta remember, guys, he lost his mom, and that was like his backbone to growing up. And because he lost that, and because his dad's hardly ever around, because his dad, his dad works a lot. It takes a toll on your mental health, and that's kind of what has affected Mason lately. Especially with the loss of his mom, it's traumatized him in ways that I can't really say. I went over there because number one, I wanted to see Mason. Number two, because Mason had gone through enough hell. I can't say what happened because that's private, but he had endured enough hell. He endured a lot of hell on top of him getting sick. Okay. I went over there to comfort him and to make sure, he was okay. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got to know him more on a personal level. As far as moving down there, guys, I'm not 100% saying yes or no. Okay. I'm not saying that option is not there. As far as moving down there, I'm not saying that option isn't there. Okay. It's just I have things I have to deal with here. Things are looking up for me over here. And as far as moving out to another state is concerned, you never know. So I'm just going to leave it in God's hands and let him decide my decision of what is best for me and for him and for Mason. Okay. So no, I don't plan on leaving y'all anytime soon, but you never know what God decides. Okay. So with that being said, you guys, it was a great stream, a great experience. Like I said, I had to endure a lot of stuff here.
Welcome to Live Chat. At House of Shaded Moderator. Supplement. Toilet Paperman 4948 Moderator. California. 12:37 a.m.
Guys, it was a great experience flying on my own as a visually impaired person. Like I said, I don't plan on moving out of here anytime soon. But like I said, things could change. Okay. Between now and for the foreseeable future. As of right now, I don't really plan on leaving here anytime soon, but in the foreseeable future, we'll see what happens. We'll see what God decides for both me and Mason. Okay? Because, maybe things could change for Mason, things could change for, for me. You never know. So I am going to be staying here. When my decision is final, I will let everybody know. But my Arkansas experience was great, even though I had to deal with a flight delay. Again, Mason, I appreciate you and thank you so much for everything. it was fun. It was memorable. It was something that I really enjoyed. And would I do it again? Of course. Of course, I would do it again. But as far as moving out of state, I'm going to leave that in God's hands. Okay? Because, like I said, just whatever happens, happens. Guys, again, the app that I used is called Skyscanner. You can download it on the Google Play or the App Store. It is free. And if you ever want to book a trip, just just register on there, book your ticket there. It'll prompt you to the website of your airline, because it doesn't just do American. Because I flew American, and then I flew partner airlines with American. So and so I forgot to mention too that you will get a confirmation code on your associated airline. Mine was a confirmation code associated with American because I was an A Advantage member. So that's how I was able to easily get stuff done. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for those that watched. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry about all the jabbering and stuff, but this was just an experience I really, really enjoyed. With that being said, everybody, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions, any comments, anything, please reach out to me on my social medias. Please leave your comments in the comments section. I really appreciate those that participated in the chat. Thank you so much. And with that being said, guys, I will see you guys in the next live stream. All right, everybody. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye, everybody.